For having us, Mike, Randy, and Chime team. My name is Omar Sari. I am head of partnerships here at Identified. And I have with me here Ralph Schonenbach. He's our head of products. And soon we will have Dar Adi, our CMO. And we're waiting for also Eric Boyanga from the Boyanga team, a great brokerage out of Silicon Valley. So they will dive in a second. So we do have basically a full agenda here for you, which we will go through. We'll do a couple of intros, go through our common value proposition and why we did partner, and then Ralph and Eric will go through the application overview and highlight our integration with Chime, and then Eric will speak to some of his specific use cases, and Ralph then will demo the application, we'll go through the pricing model and how you get in touch with us and do some Q&A. So next, Ralph. So basically, why we partnered with Chime, you know, we saw a great opportunity to really align our platform and our application with Chime. It made total sense to engage our application and to integrate it. And the way we do that is actually when we showed the application to Mike when we met him in Arizona, it was truly a no-brainer. We completely complemented each other. So, and always find you know, great partnerships where there is a really good, strong, complementary value prop. And obviously between us, Identify and Chime, and you guys, the brokers, really that's a powerful end-to-end solution that we can really offer you. So, and the way we do that, we enable really some great data, combined data between the business data and the consumer data that we catch. And then we surface these financial events, which we will show you, and how basically from a relationship standpoint, you are connected at a first degree or second degree to these events and the people affected by this financial event. And obviously, Chime is a recognized leader in the real estate industry. So this was really an ideal complementary solution to get out there. So obviously the users of Chime will benefit highly from this high value proposition. And both organizations have the opportunity really to basically grow their business. Next.
Omar, if I could just to throw something in there real quick. In this time in our careers and our lives and in the world and what's going on, we need more data. We need more data points to assess and identify those leads and those people out there that are right now buyers and sellers versus future buyers and sellers. This kind of data that Omar is talking about that we're going to explain, when they brought it to us and we sat down in Arizona and we looked at it, it was an absolute, as Omar mentioned, it was an absolute no-brainer. The data points are relevant to someone who is going to transact real estate within the next 6 to 9 months. The data points that they have show propensity to buy, propensity to sell. There's a lot in there, and you're going to see it. But from our standpoint, we looked at it as this is pure value to an agent's database or to an incoming lead flow that shows where money is, and it shows where to expend your efforts. The case study you're going to hear about from Eric and the Boyenga team, it speaks to exactly that. So to Omar's point, when they came into town and we all sat down and we talked about this, it was an absolute no-brainer, and we pursued partnership as quickly as humanly possible. So I just wanted to throw that in there from the Chime perspective, Omar. Sorry for the interruption.
No, thank you. That was actually great value. And too bad Dar is having some issues with his,
sorry.
actually. Oh, here we go.
Can you hear me?
Dar. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thanks, Omar.
Yeah, so go ahead, Dar. Why don't you go through your quick intro there to basically highlight what Mike just said.
Yeah, sounds like I might have some feedback on the phone here.
You're muted. Dar, you're muted.
Here, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Can you? Great. For some reason I'm not getting feedback in, but anyway, just wanted to illustrate a couple of key items that we think will help empower Chime, the Chime users. The package that we're kind of delivering through Chime is going to really allow you to do, for the first time, kind of the identification or identify real-time events that are happening not only across the country, but within the neighborhoods down to a local level. So the way we look at our system, it's trying to empower Chime to surface these real-time events. And there's really kind of three buckets those come in. The first is kind of as a new customer acquisition tool to really monitor financial events that are going on in your neighborhood, and to be able to search for those and really identify those new opportunities. The second is really in using the tool as a prospect builder for identifying new potential buyers and sellers, and Ralph is going to show you that in the demonstration right after this. And then third is just monitoring your existing clients. At the end of the day, that's really about your sphere of influence and expanding that to make sure that if there is a financial life event that happens to your client list, you want to be notified about that. And then lastly, we think the most important piece is that the relationship mapping that this tool will allow you to do, that expands that sphere of influence and really allows you to leverage LinkedIn, if you use it, your address books and your client list, to collectively put them in one place and identify how you might map from those relationships to people in neighborhoods, your prospects, your clients, and your partners' clients as well. So we really appreciate you spending time this morning to learn a little bit more. Back to you, Omar.
Okay, thanks. So really, why partner quickly? I mean, the synergy is there, and the timing, especially now with COVID, a lot of people actually it brings the platform to really to get organized and to be ready when things turn around, and we know they will. So it's a complementary solution that adds incredible value and makes you guys really focus on those highly qualified leads when they come in real time. And we say real time, and we'll show you some of this real time event that we catch. Basically, we catch them as they happen. Even within the week, within a couple of days, and we surface them. We surface those events that are affecting specific people within organization where we know they're gonna run or they're gonna basically make a lot of money short term, but it could also be, a little long term, but within a couple months in the case of an event such as IPOs. And really, the idea here is to make you really more efficient in your day-to-day, surface some highly qualified prospects and leads, and really personalize a message, a very specific target message to those people. And at the end of the day, we want you to grow and make more money. Ralph, next. And I will pass it on here to Ralph, which will go through a brief overview of the application, and then Eric Boyenga will take over with some use cases.
Great, thanks a lot, Omar. So just to reinforce what Omar and Dard mentioned, so we're tracking wealth events on a daily basis and linking those to executives that were impacted by those. So that could be IPOs, stock transactions, when companies are acquired, investments received, when a company becomes a unicorn status, so a billion valuation, because that's most likely a company that's going to either be acquired or IPO in the next months or in a short period of time. And then we provide both consumer attributes and professional attributes to those executives when we're providing them to you on a daily basis. And then we map those to your networks to see where you have the strongest path to connect with those executives. And we have APIs set up to Chime so that you can then transfer those leads into your application. So it saves a lot of time in moving data from one system to the other. And just to show you, this is what it would look like. You just enter in your credentials, you submit, then you're plugged in. It takes about a second. And then from there, when you go to a lead, you'll see that you have this icon where you can click on Add to Chime. Once you do that, it will confirm that it's been added. And then you'll see that opportunity in your application. And then from there, you're able to manage it from your own view. So that's just a quick overview, and I'll go into a live demo with this. So I'll pass it over to Eric now.
Great, thank you, Ralph. So I'd like to kind of run through some of the things of why I've actually partnered with Identified and Chime, who I've worked with from its inception. So, for us as running a real estate team, it's always, a lot of work to actually qualify leads, and I'll have to skip trace and go around trying to find little bits and pieces of data and put this, put this together. And so what I found when I started working with Identified is being able to get this data right in your hands, all kinds of data, data points on the children, on wealth events, on numerous different data points, which really makes it valuable to me. So I would say, if I can save time on qualifying leads and being able to get to the right leads or prospects, it's worth its weight in gold. And being able to get that data into Chime as well, which is the important part of it. If you have to actually manually move this data back and forth, it's a real nightmare. So one of the things that I've found over the past few months of working with Identified is how valuable this data is. So pain points that we have, qualifying the leads, dealing with skip tracing, or actually being able to find more data on people that you're trying to qualify, being able to actually bring it into Chime, and then also some of the new things that they've come up with, which was networking networks, where I can take everything from LinkedIn, all my team's LinkedIn, cross that with mine and be able to actually see where these relationships lie and see where I'm, 1 or 2 degrees away from so many of these prospects. So MoneyInMotion, I don't know if anyone has, seen what this really can do, but it gives liquidity events. So any event that's, of a major, I would say a major number, sometimes unicorns like they're talking about, but, where all of a sudden you get people who, let's say, were acquired by Facebook or Google or one of the big 5 or 6, we get these prospects, we know who they are, we can actually reach out to them. Let's say, when you do get this liquidity event, the first thing that people want to do is buy a house, and being able to capture them early is really the key here, and getting to them ahead of time using, networking networks as well to actually get that introduction. If I'm not unable to get an introduction that way, I'm at least able to get enough data on them to know how to, build rapport, access them, follow up with them, and see if I can actually get in touch with them. If I can't get in touch with them by phone, then nurture them by an email campaign that I'll use on Chime or a smart plan. So this is one of the things that's super valuable, I would say, is being able to get to that data early and access it and get to these clients before they make a decision on which agent they're going to choose. The relationship mapping, I would say, is incredible. And I don't know if Ralph will kind of walk through that, but the relationship mapping allows us to actually put these networks together, put mine with my teams, or, let's say other agents that I'm working, that maybe we have a alliance with, and be able to actually build these relationships from that, or introduction. And no different than what you would have in the past, but you can do this on the fly instead of having to look and say, okay, I see that Omar's connected to this person who works at Blue Jean who just got acquired by Verizon, or these are the things that are really important. Prospect Builder is really crucial for me. So in the Silicon Valley, there's 5 or 6 companies that run, pretty much do a lot of the acquisitions, and also where we get most of our clientele, and that's Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, and Netflix. So being able to target these and being able to find them through a prospect builder is unbelievable. So I can go look on a map, look for a certain area, and I'm sure Ralph will walk through this a little bit, but I can look in a certain neighborhood. Let's say I have a house in Los Gatos that I'm selling. It's 6 million. I know that people that are going to be the best qualifications for this would be someone who had a liquidity event or just got a promotion. So I can then go through Prospect Builder, find anyone who's a director, just a newly became director at Netflix. And then I can go out and reach out to them. I'll have their data I pull into Chime. I can actually nurture them if I'm unable to connect with them by phone, then email, or even a text once I know maybe how they're connected to one of my friends. So that's really, really useful. And I would say I'm just touching the surface of what you can do with this data. And I think that's the thing that's unbelievable. There's so many different avenues. You look for triggers, and then use the Prospect Builder to actually build those, find those people, and then actually nurture and grow your database. As for return on investment, I did, the hours looking for this data, it's all there. So now it's more about getting access to that data, targeting the right prospects, which I think is crucial at the right time. It's, again, one of the things that's always a problem, and I think most people will find this out, data is only valuable if you can capture it early. And the earlier you can capture these clients, these leads, the earlier you have a chance of building that rapport and getting them as clients. And again, you can also use this on the other side is, let's say you have a buyer who's looking for a house. They're looking for a house. They have a budget of 5 or 6 million. You can't find it, or let's say even a smaller budget, 2 or 3. I can go look for triggers, events like someone who's going to elder care, and I can go into Prospect Builder and look for people in, let's say, their 80s, maybe only one person in the household. That means one of them has either passed on or moved on. These people who are going to elder care are more than likely going to be selling their house. So we can then reach out to them, and with an off-market offer, we can say, look, I have a client, he's very interested, he hasn't found what he wants. It looks, like, would you be interested in selling this home? And so we've actually been able to do this through this data. And that's, I think, one of the things that's so unbelievable about it. We talked about kind of the relationships of networking networks, which Ralph will go through as well. I would say being able to get the right content on the qualified prospects is really important. Being able to know that you're going to reach out to someone who's 80 differently than some tech director who, is 35 or 40 on their way to a promotion to VP. But again, one of these things is you can work it on both sides, whether it's working with a buyer or a seller, having this data to be able to access it. And actually, what I found is with sellers, I can tell them, look, there's only a certain type of person who wants your house. It's someone who, has, first off, they have to have the capacity to buy the house. There has to be a trigger or a likelihood of a trigger for them to buy it in the first place. So we can look for those triggers. And those triggers can be many things: promotions, liquidity events. It could be just that they came across, they are selling their house and we know they're selling their house. So it could be a bunch of different reasons that we can then reach out to them. I would say the last thing I wanted to kind of go over is helping on how teams can target, highly qualified buyers. And again, a lot of times this is looking for these events. Other events could be that they've just had a newborn and they have a 4-year-old who's going to be going into kindergarten. These are the kind of trigger events that as realtors we all know, but how do you find that out? With Identified, you can find out, okay, they have a kid in nursery school and they have a newborn. Take that data, be able to reach out to them. You know that they're going to be buying a house soon if they don't own one already. If they own one already, it could be a buy-sell opportunity. So I would say these are just some of the things, and I would say some of the things that have been most helpful for me from Identified is just being able to get a better rapport with these clients when you reach out to them. You understand where they went to college, you understand where, how old they are, you understand how many kids they have, what kind of house they own, everything. And these little bits of data all in one place make it invaluable. So I would say, and Ralph is going to walk you through this so you can kind of see how it works, but it really is the next gen of what we're going to see in real estate, being able to capture people earlier, being able to get this data so you can actually better serve your clients.
Eric, yeah. if I may just ask a quick question. I think the buy side and the buyers and coming into wealth, I think that kind of speaks for itself. I think intuitively we can all kind of catch that. On the listing side, going into a listing presentation of a high luxury worth home and being able to say, I know of X amount of potential buyers out there with the capital, with the capacity to afford this kind of home. I have to imagine having that data separates you from the other folks that are doing listing appointments in competition with you. No?
Yes. Thanks, Mike. I mean, it really does. I mean, I can go into a listing interview, walk through and tell them, look, here's the top 5 people that can buy your house right now. And this isn't all just for, a $10 million house. It could be for a $4 or $5 million house. I know who, depending on where it's located, what triggers we're looking for, and the data we have, using Prospect Builder, we can already show them like, look, here's the likelihood of these people to be your buyers. And you can give them little tidbits of it. But yeah, it's been unbelievable. In fact, I can credit 3 listings we have right now in Palo Alto to Identified. And it's really being able to capture the right buyers too. And I'll tell you something that's even more valuable nowadays is that really when you're going, most people just want the right people going through their house. And more than ever with what's going on with COVID, they just don't want a bunch of people rummaging through their house. And it may be, 6 months to a year before open houses happen again. So being able to capture the right ones and then actually vet those. And so, like, look, this is just a looky-loo. I don't want them through my client's house. And not only to capture that listing, but also to be able to vet these buyers is so valuable. So I would agree. And again, I'm just touching the surface of what can be done with Identified. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Good. Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome. So Ralph, do you want to get through? Great.
That's great. Thanks a lot. So I'm going to just jump into the demo quickly. 1 second, please. All right. So let me know if you see my screen.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, perfect. So this is Money in Motion. So as we mentioned earlier, we're tracking these different events on a daily basis. So you have an overview. So IPOs, when shares are being traded, company acquisitions, when investments are received, and then the unicorn status. And we've tracked about $1.5 trillion worth of events to date. And then we've mapped executives to those different events. And you have the ability to see where you have your first degree connections and second degree connections to these different executives based on the mapping that we've done across the 300 million people that we're tracking, and then also by adding in your LinkedIn connections. So for example, if we take a look at an acquisition, we can go and we can see who do we know that were involved in such a transaction. And so when you click on that number, it'll pull up those events related to where you have second degree connections. So you can see here that there were different companies acquired for different valuations over different periods of time. And then you can go through and then you can look and see, okay, which companies are interesting. So for example, I can click on Michael, who's the president of this company, and I can see that he's married, he lives at this location. This is, you know, where his company headquarters is. We have an inferred salary for that person. We have contact information. And then also we have the paths to that person. So if I go through Curtis, then I know that I can get to Michael. And we also map household members to those events as well. So you get a complete view of not only the executive that benefited from the transaction, but also other people that are in that household. So I think that that's really helpful. Then you have here the Chime logo. So when you click on that, that will immediately transfer that lead into the application. So now that's already in Chime, and then you can manage it through there. So it's really easy to move these leads over to the application. If we take one more example, looking at a stock transaction, we can look and see in the past month who was involved in inside stock sales. So I can go to these 13 people that I have links to, and then I can then see which ones are the ones that are interesting for me. So if you look through here, what is helpful with the application is that you can see, for example, that Mark, he sold about $500,000 worth of shares, but he also has around 21 million remaining shareholder value. So when you go into that profile, you get information about the school age ranges of the children, information about the company, and the potential path to get to that person. So it's very useful to be able to link your networks to these different people in Money in Motion. So that's, excuse me, how Money in Motion works. And then just to a couple.
Ralph, can I add something to that Money in Motion?
Yeah, sure, please.
So once you have this connection and bring it into Chime, I think one of the things that is really important is that once you know who it is, you can nurture it really easily through a smart plan. And this is on the Chime side, through a smart plan and being able to actually set up a market report to them. So you can slowly nurture some of these people if you're not able to capture them immediately through maybe someone you're not connected to. So you can actually start to drip them and they start to kind of see things from you, and then they can kind of see, okay, like you're doing business there. So you might be able to like just send an email like, here, I've sold 6 homes in your neighborhood, or whatever you want to do that you think is going to best, be able to, target this person or
get that person into your funnel.
Exactly. Correct. Thanks.
Yeah, these events are coming in on a daily basis. So you're able to see how you map to those and then follow up with those different opportunities. And then you can also search by city, by state, company, if something happened that you're interested in. So we have a lot of filters built into that. Then, as Eric mentioned in his cases that he reviewed, we have networking networks, which allows you to get an overview of not only your own network, but also your team's network. So you can import your connections from LinkedIn. Those are then enriched with our attributes, the consumer and the professional attributes. And then we provide you an overview of what that network looks like across different categories. So company, industries, universities, titles, inferred salary ranges. And then what I think is really helpful is that you can build teams. So you can have your own company team where you can see then a group of people and how their combined networks come together. or you can have a one-to-one team. So Eric and Dar combining their network, for example. And then each one of these networks that you're combining together provides more paths to both the executives that are benefiting from the wealth events, but also to the profiles that we have in our vault, the 300 million. So you can find connections there. And I'll just show you an example of what that looks like when we enrich those connections that come in. So for example, if you look at, we have the consumer filters, so you can search by home address, by age, by gender, marital status, education ranges. If you're looking for people that are interested in golf, which is an interesting attribute for, depending on where they want to live, then you get an overview of people that have that as a criteria. And then if you go into the profile, then you see what we've appended to that. So this came in from LinkedIn, the name, the company, and the title. And we've added information about the age, the children, the home address, the interest, inferred salaries, contact information, and then also household members that are connected to that property as well. So you have a lot of insights that come in through this import of your connections and through your teams. So that's an overview of what that looks like when your connections come in. And then just to show the example that Eric was mentioning about being able to visually see this, if you look, let's take, for example, Fitbit being acquired by Google. If you search for Fitbit, you'll see on a map all of the people that worked for Fitbit. And then you're able to say, okay, we would like to look at people that have an inferred income from 250 to 500. And then you're able then to drill into that and see who are those people that were involved in that. So if I get down, you can get down to the street level, and then you can look at this household, and you'll see that this person here worked at Fitbit, married at this address, enjoys sports and travel, has this inferred income. You have contact information. And then if there was a path to this person, you would also see how you would get to that person. So there's a lot of information that you can use also, not only from a wealth event perspective, but just on a day-to-day searching for, companies moving from one headquarter to another headquarter, or an acquisition, or, looking at people that fit certain types of profiles that you're trying to identify. So that's the quick overview of how the application works. Any questions? Great, thanks. You just put the presentation back on.
Yeah, so guys, feel free also at the end, we're gonna have some time for Q&A. So either send them through the chat or feel free to ask.
Yeah, there has been some discussion going on in the chat, but please, if you have some questions, and I thought I just saw one from Tamina. Does some of the data include boating or possibly waterfront property or something? I'm not sure, Tamina. Maybe you can expound on that question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ralph. You want to take that on when it comes to interest that we catch?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different interests. So boating, sailing, also we increase this on a weekly basis. Also, we're adding more and more home attributes as well. Those attributes are available.
Yeah, so outdoors, skiing, fishing, tennis, golf, all those interests are basically part of the profile when it pops up. When we do have them available, you will see them right there. So part of your customizing your reach, that this person also is into golfing or is into fishing. So you'll be able to really personalize that message around those interests also. Next, Ralph. Okay, so when it comes to the pricing, we worked really closely with Mike, and we really truly try to align the pricing with the different packages that Chime offers, which we will make sense. And what we're trying to do here is really make it very easy for you to engage with us. And and offer a pricing that's really complementary to what Chime is offering. So we have two different pricing for new users. So I don't know how many new prospects we have on the call here, Mike. So we have two sets of bundled pricing. One is for users that you see here, and then we can share this with you, and we can send you this pricing. And then there is one pricing next, Ralph, one pricing that is geared towards the install base. Basically, as you renew your Chime instance, or you want Embrace Identified and add to it, we have this pricing already all set for you to add it as an add-on. So if you have any questions about that, just feel free to reach out to us. Next, Ralph. And then really from the key contacts here, again, we set it up where the Chime sales reps and the customer success reps are your basically your key contacts first, and then I myself, Omar, I'm here to answer any questions. We're backing up Chime and the team. And the way it works is that if you're interested in getting engaged with Identified, please reach out to your Chime sales reps, and then they will basically just engage us right away to back them up, and we'll set up time for you to go into a deeper demo to customize it a little more into your need and into your location, and then Craig, also from the operations standpoint, he's there to set up all the calls and all the demos.
Yeah. So just for everyone on the line here, or for those of you that are going to watch the recording of this, if you're a current client of Chime's, reach out to your customer success manager. We have a form that we fill out, and that moves over to to Identified, and they take it from there. If you're in the sales process with us right now, if you're working with us right now, but haven't bought Chime yet, it's just a matter of talking that through with your account executive as you're purchasing Chime. And again, we'll move your information over to Identified, and they will be in touch and get you set up from there. So really just depends on who you're dealing with at the moment. If you're a current client, your customer success manager. If you're in the sales process, your account executive, just let us know.
Great. Thanks a lot.
And since we have a little bit of time left, I would like to ask Eric just a few questions, because I want to learn more about the experience that you've had with your team, right? How did your team react when they now had this new tool where they can strategically comb through their database to find people who actually have the capacity to buy luxury homes? How did their follow-up or prospecting change? I feel like this data would really result in people being more motivated.
So, I mean, that's a good question. The thing is being able to use networking networks and being able to see how you're connected to anyone on your team's connections really allows you to leverage. This is the whole point of having a team anyways, is you leverage these relationships to be able to get, more clients and be able to qualify and actually gain them as new business. So I would say there's a bunch of different ways that we're leveraging it as a team. I mean, one of them is just imagine this, in the past when we went to sell homes, we knew that we love to get, every person who works for this company in this town, and we'd go through these company intranets. But over time, the intranets were closed off. But if we have all this information, we can actually use this to our advantage. And again, you need to be sensitive to how you're using this data. But this data is so valuable in the sense that I can tell you right now in, let's say a part of one zip code of West San Jose with good, really well-known schools, I can tell you every person at Netflix who's there, who's at a certain level and I can reach out to those people. And some of them are already in my database. I can use those relationships to reach out to them. Some of the others we're actually slowly, dripping them or nurturing them until and then we can use these relationships to actually capture them. So again, I think it's the combination of MoneyInMotion, Prospect Builder, and the networking networks. Each one of those has a different capacity, but putting all these together, it allows you to get a better story of who you need to target, and also finding out new targeting campaigns, new ways that you didn't even think about. Again, really, this data is most helpful in the sense that you better know who you're working with, even if it's someone that you actually, met in the past, but didn't really get to know. And you really now want to actually reach out to them and say, hey, just wanted to check in. I know, you were using an agent before, but I found a property that might be perfect. And they're like, well, what? That's great. You called. It's like, I just was looking at houses. I need to get into a kindergarten, get my daughter into a kindergarten. So it's like, oh, wow. That's like, how did that happen? Like that happened through Identified. That's how it happened.
That's beautiful. The phrase that keeps banging around in my head right now is your network is your net worth, right? I'm sure we've all heard that cliche, but this product, it makes it tangible, right? You can almost count the dollar bills of how much your network is actually worth by leveraging this tool.
Yeah, and I saw a question on the chat, and they were asking, well, like, is this only for luxury, or like, why this isn't really valuable to me? And I would say it's valuable to anyone who wants to know, how many, people live in my town that work for this company, or how many people who have a kid who's going to be going into kindergarten. And like, these are the things that are super valuable. There's hundreds of triggers, and everybody has their own methodology of what they think those are, but you can test these things and you can then get a feedback loop on them. And you then find out, well, this worked, this didn't work. And the point is it saves you so much time in the sense that you're just not blanketing. Like in the past, what I would do is send mailers out. And you know how expensive those are. I would spend $20,000 mailing this huge area. And, I'd have a rate of, a ROI of, I get two listings out of it. Was it worth it? Well, I made $25,000 per listing. So yes, it was worth it, but it's definitely ineffective. And so being able to actually, and people do not want mail coming to their front doorstep. And it really is the future is being able to find out how to, you take this data and slice and dice it to what's working for you, and what you're finding is your best conversion rates, and work off those. It's like, well, I've been converting these, and also using it as a listing tool, because you really can count on, on one hand sometimes who could buy a house, whether it's in the middle of the country where a house is $500,000 for a luxury home there. And there's only 10 or 20 people that may be able to buy that house in the town or out adjoining towns, or maybe someone whose company just got acquired, okay, and they're moving to this town because of the acquisition. Because typically when they're acquired, they have to spend a year at the company or two, doing the handoff.
It is really important to point out that this is not a tool that's meant exclusively for CEOs and $10 million homes, right? There are multiple positions that go down, deeper than CEOs that are brought to light through this tool, so that no matter your price point, the price point is seemingly irrelevant. You want to know who can and who cannot buy a home. And the easiest way to do that is to know who is getting a promotion, who's selling stocks, who is coming into wealth, right? So CEO or not, that knowledge is all very, very valuable, regardless of the home price that you're listing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Randy, I'll add to that actually specifically. And what we surface sometimes is something, it's not just this, startups or IPOs and all. We got a couple of examples with really very, very high-end, high purchase acquisitions. And the example is Sprint. When Sprint got acquired, actually, those events obviously just blew up the database, because we've seen all the way to managers, directors, and all the way, of course, to the VPs, CEOs of Sprint. The top guys, they're going to make a buttload of money, but a lot of people underneath made some good, decent money. And we saw those events really kind of, they got sprayed across the nation. And there were a couple people in the Midwest actually that got excited about that, because actually they were following what was going on to happen in their region with Sprint, because Sprint was a major employer in their town. So there was an injection of a lot of money. So that's one example. And to your point, it's these Henrys. It's people that have not even bought a house. They're about to buy the new house. So that's a profile for a certain segment of a lot of the brokers and agents probably maybe on this call that is of interest to them. But also it's a way to build long-term relationship, because when somebody basically makes the money, so a lot of people reach out to them because they know they made the money and they won the business. But if you are able to build this long-term relationship, when the money comes, and it will, there is a good propensity for it to happen, then basically you already have that relationship. And one other point, when it comes to basically relocation, we've seen in California, I think almost 700 major companies are moving out, a lot of them to Texas. So Schwab, which was a major employer here, actually a lot of their people got transferred to Texas. And the way it worked out, there were these different agents that one was out of San Francisco and the one in Texas, in Dallas. They started sharing they connected up and they shared their networks. So they were able really to work together from those relocation and serve those specific customers. So that was very helpful.
Omar, that's great. I mean, I would say the thing I didn't touch on is the relocation, and it's super crucial. It's not uncommon for companies to move their headquarters or move part of their executive team, or when a team is acquired, when a company is acquired, they move a group of those people to wherever it was acquired. And so these are things that the relocation can be really valuable for people who know that, let's say, Amazon was, moved over to Virginia. Well, if you could capture this early and kind of the key people that would be moving there, you could actually reach out to them to help them purchase homes. So, and it works the same way if they're having to leave California or wherever else. We can reach out to them and say, look, if you're going to be relocating, you're either going to be renting or selling, or one of the two typically. How can we help?
Good. All right, Omar, I think that sums it up. I don't see any more questions on the chat. Any last thoughts from the group?
Well, thank you guys so much for having us. Again, reach out. I think the potential of the platform working together with Chime is really powerful. Some people are embracing this value already, such as Eric. Eric, I want to really thank you so much for your time today. And again, Mike and Randy, and to all of you, thank you so much for your attention today. And we look forward to working with you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you very much to all the Identified folks. This is a great partnership. I'm really looking forward to continuing to move forward with it. And Eric, thank you for bringing this to our doorstep. It's client feedback like that gets us moving in the right direction. And we really appreciate not only your time and your effort with this, but your continued loyalty to Chime and being a part of the family. Appreciate it.
Well, I would say Chime has been instrumental in growing our team. And anything, people forget that, like, there's always people who say, well, technology is so valuable for us to actually better serve clients. And people will say, well, if you get too focused on tech, you lose, you lose track of your clientele. But really, tech gives me more time to actually serve my clients. And that's the whole point of this, is being able to get more time to serve the right people instead of just, throwing this, casting a wide net. We're taking that away and saying, look, we just want to capture the right people. So I just want to thank both Identified and Chime. Both are going to be the most helpful things to grow my business. So thank you, you guys. Thanks, team.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.